At 68, before my retirement, I was afraid of what was coming. Not death exactly. The deterioration, the diminishment, the long closing down. I had watched enough people age to have built an image of what later life looked like, and the image was not one I welcomed. I am 92 now. The image I had at 68 was almost entirely wrong. That is the hard truth I want to give you today. The hard truth I am offering is not the dark kind. It is hard in a different way. It is hard because it contradicts what most people have been told to expect and what they have built their fear around. My later years, genuinely later, 80s and 90s, have been better than the fear suggested they would be. Not because my life has been without difficulty. It has had significant difficulty, better in spite of that, and in ways I could not have imagined from 68. The first thing the image gets wrong is that it only reports what is lost. The image I had at 68 was built on what I had observed in other people's aging. Speed declining, memory losing its sharpness, physical ease fading, social world contracting. The image was not inaccurate about those things. Some speed has declined, some memory has changed. The physical ease of 40 is not available at 92. But the image only reported the losses. It did not report what was growing alongside them. My patience has grown considerably. My ability to know quickly what matters and what does not has become something I rely on in a way I never could at 50. My perspective on my own life, the ability to see it with some distance, to understand what the difficult things were actually doing, to know which of my fears proved real and which proved imaginary. None of this was available to me in any earlier decade. The things that grew have been, in my daily experience, considerably more significant than the things that declined. The problem with the image of aging is not that it is false. It is that it is incomplete. The gains go almost entirely unreported, and the fear that results from the incomplete image is larger than the reality justifies. The second thing nobody told me about was the clarity that arrives only late. At 92, I know things I could not have known at 50. Not information. I had access to information at 50. Understanding. The kind that comes only from having watched a great many things from beginning to end. I know which of my fears from earlier life proved real and which proved imaginary. The proportion is surprising. Most of what I spent energy worrying about never materialized in the form I feared. Some things I never worried about proved to be where the actual difficulty was. I know what people actually need from each other and what they believe they need, and how wide the gap between those two things can be. I know which of my ambitions achieved, delivered what I expected, and which did not. I know what the difficult periods of my life were actually producing now that I can see the other side of them. This clarity is one of the genuine gifts of a long life. You cannot have it at 50. You can only have it after. The third thing is what happens to relationships. My closest relationships at 92 are more genuinely intimate than any I had at 50. Not more numerous, considerably fewer, but more real. The superficial ones have fallen away across the decades, not through conflict mostly, simply through the natural attrition of time and different directions taken. What remains are the relationships that survived all of that were maintained through difficulty, that accumulated enough shared history to become something that cannot be manufactured quickly. I have a friend who has known me for 62 years. She knows things about me that I have never described to anyone else because the knowing accumulated slowly over decades rather than being communicated directly. I know her in the same way. There is a quality to being fully known by someone and to fully knowing them that is only available after a very long time together. Most people approaching the later years are told they will lose relationships, and they will lose some. They are almost never told that what remains will be different in kind from what was there before. Fewer and realer than anything I had before. Now I want to be honest about something before I leave you with only the reassurance. The later years I have been describing do not arrive automatically. They arrive for people who have built the conditions that make them possible, who have maintained their health well enough to remain capable of engagement, who have tended their relationships over the decades rather than assumed they would be there when needed, who have kept their minds working on things that were genuinely demanding. The picture I am painting is real. I am not inventing it, but it is the picture of a later life that was prepared for, not the picture of all later lives. The people for whom the later years are genuinely good are almost always the ones who treated them as a destination worth building toward. Not perfectly. Nobody does it perfectly, consistently, and honestly. The good news is real. It is not unconditional. The condition is that you have to build toward it. And finally, what I most want you to know. At 68, I was preparing, in the way I prepared, for something I feared, for diminishment, for a long, gradual losing. At 92, I can tell you, that is not primarily what the later years are. Not for me. Not for most people I have watched age well. The diminishments are real. I have been honest about that. Some of them have been hard to accept. But the overall shape of a later life, built correctly, is not the shape of the fear. It is quieter than middle life. It is more present. In some ways, it is more fully alive than what came before. I know what I value with a clarity I did not have at 50. I am not performing for anyone. I spend my time in the way I actually want to spend it. The relationships around me are real. I want you to know this because the person who is afraid of what is coming prepares differently than the person who understands what they are actually building toward. And the later years are something worth building toward deliberately. The hard truth about aging that nobody tells you is not a dark one. It is this: the later years are better than the image of them suggests. Not easier, not without loss or difficulty, but better in the ways that matter most, in clarity, in the depth of what remains, in the quality of presence available when the noise of ambition has finally quieted. Build toward it. Tend your health. Tend your relationships. Keep your mind genuinely working. Have something that requires you. The image you have of what is coming is almost certainly more frightening than what is actually coming, if you build toward it honestly. I am 92, and I can tell you it is worth the building.